The talk today is called Just Words. You might remember from the playground when you were little, sticks and stones can break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Remember, have you ever heard that one? Yeah, sticks and stones can break my bones, and words can kill me. My first counselor, a woman named Karen Bedrodi, down in Florida, got into a verbal debate with her. You might have heard this story from me before. So I said something, and she said, "Oh, so you mean this?" And I said, "Well, no, I don't mean that, I mean this." And she said, "Well, why did you say that?" And I said, "Oh, that's just semantics." She says, "Oh, yeah, it's just words." I said, "Yeah." She says, "Honey, that's all we got." When we're trying to convey an idea that's in our mind, something that's in our heart, the way that we communicate that, the way that we express it, the way that we define it, is by using words. So they're not just words, they're really powerful words. They're words that have a lot of meaning. I like to quote my favorite parts of the Bible, which tend to be at the very beginning of books and chapters, because I don't like to read all the way through all that stuff. In the beginning there was darkness and void, and God said, "Let there be light." That was the word, "let there be light." And what's the next thing that it says? And there was light. And that's describing the law activated by the word. And then in the Gospel of John, the very beginning, once again, in the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God. The Word was God. In the beginning there was the Word. So it's not just words. In the beginning there was the Word, and then there was everything else. So words are actually kind of important. In the spiritual adventure this week, we're talking about the 4 agreements, and there are 4 of them, and the first agreement is, be impeccable with your word. And Don Miguel Ruiz doesn't say, be pretty clear with your word. Be truthful with your word. Be good with your word. Be reasonable with your word. He says, be impeccable with your word. We're trying to figure out what the opposite of impeccable is. Is it peccable? Do you know people who are peccable with their word? Is that a word? If it's not, maybe it ought to be a word. But what Don Miguel says in the Toltec tradition is that our words are magic. They actually use that terminology. Our words are magic that we use to cast spells and create our experience. And we can cast that magic for ourselves, and we can cast it on other people. He talks about black magic and white magic. It's not good words and bad words. It's whether we're using our words to create something that's life-sustaining and fulfilling and uplifting, or something that's harmful and destructive. Sticks and stones. So words are really, really important. They're not just words. They're the most creative thing in the universe. I'm going to try a little exercise. Please take this personally. I'm speaking to each one of you here. You are a beautiful, intelligent, powerful, wonderful human being. You are poised on the verge of success greater than you could ever have imagined. How'd that feel? Yeah, were they just words? Well, they were just words, but they were pretty powerful words. And if I'm not going to do it, but if somebody were to substitute words like useless or stupid or lazy or failure in place of those words, that'd feel like black magic. And as soon as you let those words hook you, get your attention, and you start to agree with them, or you even get a little close to agreeing with them, that's when we get sucked into that black magic power of the words, where we can create an experience that we do not want to have. So the invitation should be pretty obvious. If they're just words, just use the good ones. Mike Dooley, who does the Notes from the Universe every day, says, thoughts are things, choose the good ones. And it's just that easy. When you're being impeccable with your word, you are at choice. You can always choose which word to use. Make sure that it's true. And if it's an intentional word about something that you're creating, then anything could be true, and as long as it could be possible for you, then you get to claim it. That wonderful prayer that Patricia read for us as our opening prayer this morning, claiming the truth of herself and her artistry, and how she was allowing that creative spirit, that creativity to channel through her, to allow that to create art in a variety of media. That's the channel that we're opening up with our words. Because anything can happen. And we can use our words to choose what it is that we want to have happen. Because we're creating our lives according to our words. So what we're doing is actually, we're creating our lives through intention and we're defining it with words. Because the words have very specific meaning. Do you know what the really cool thing about words is you get a do-over. If you find yourself thinking something that you don't really believe, even if you find yourself in the middle of having a conversation and you say something and it's like, oh, that was really harsh, that was unnecessary, you can just say, oh, wait a second, that's not what I meant. And you can start over again. If you find yourself saying something, I hear people saying that they're sick and tired of things are a pain in the butt or whatever it is, and they say cancel. I know far too many people who have talked about having a pain in the butt who then wind up going to the chiropractor or the proctologist or somebody else because, in fact, they wind up with a pain in the butt or a pain in the neck or whatever it happens to be. Use your words impeccably, because if something is annoying, don't say it's a pain in the butt. Say, it's annoying. If it's really annoying, then say, it's really annoying. Be impeccable with your words. So the other way to think about this in just words, what would be the opposite of just words? I think it's unjust words. There's some words where we're justified, where we're standing in truth when we say those words. And there are some that are just not appropriate. Those sticks and stones, those are unjust words. Those are words that kids throw at each other with the mistaken impression that by tearing somebody else down, they're building themselves up. It doesn't bring them any closer to the top, it just brings everybody lower. So as you're picking your just words, or your unjust words, be aware of where they're coming from. Are you coming from a place of anger or fear, competition, negativity, control? Anybody here have an issue with control ever? Okay. Talk amongst yourselves afterwards. Or are you coming from a place of balance, of peace, of love? Are those words that you're using just words or unjust words? What is it that you want to create? In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. If you were using that God power to create your life, would you be kind of careful with the words that you're using? Do you think you can pretend that you're not doing that just because you don't say that you're doing that? No, it's kind of the package. And it, right there in the beginning of John, it didn't say, for those who are aware, you're creating your life with your words. No, it says that's the way it works. The beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. The Word was with God. That's the creative power, and it's always going on. Now, the good news for us, as all of you who have been in classes are aware, is that not all of your words are creating something huge in your life right now. There's a cumulative effect. Somebody says that something's a pain in the butt now, it doesn't mean they're immediately going to have to go into surgery or something, or have a boil removed. It's the tendency to repeat those things over and over again which get us into that rut. And we can change that. The ones that are powerful and life-affirming and creative, as we heard in some of the in Patricia's prayer this morning, the ones that we speak intentionally, claiming from a place of truth and power, those are the really powerful ones. So there are words, and then there are words. And when we're speaking them with intentionality and faith and conviction and belief, especially when we're doing it in the form of a practical prayer, they have a lot of energy. We still get to watch what we say and how we use our words the rest of the time. In all the classes, we talk about our self-talk, that little voice that goes on in the back of our minds. We did that on Tuesday as well, as we created that metote, that committee that we all have in our heads, where the chatter continues nonstop. So you can listen to those words and live by them, or not, because you're always at choice. You always have a choice about what you're going to agree with, as Don Miguel points out. So you guys probably have been following the saga of Adam Webb and the tree. 2 weeks ago, right before he came in here, when it was that very windy morning, the tree in his backyard blew down, and it knocked over the fence, and it knocked into the neighbor's garden, and was basically huge tumult. And the good news about that was that his son and his wife had been out in the backyard playing, and they had come in before the tree came down. So nobody was hurt, and there was some property damage, and there was this huge tree lying down this way, which is not how trees are supposed to be in Adam's neighborhood. So it would have been really easy to look at the tree and call it bad and call it a problem and get mad about the tree, get mad about the wind, get angry about the situation, be hurt and indignant, and pick your words. He could have gotten pissed about the situation, and he probably was for a little while. But there's also the opportunity in that to see what's possible. So instead of using his words to be angry about what had happened, he has some words of gratitude because everybody was safe, and then he was opening himself up to what's possible. Because what he wanted to do, his next door neighbor loves gardening. And he felt really bad that this tree had come down and done damage to her garden, because that was going to have to get recreated. So he felt bad about that. He wanted to be able to take care of her. And so in the conversation that we had, we were talking about homeowners insurance. And I happen to know a little bit about homeowners insurance. And all I told him was call your insurance company, because that's what it's there for. And they never made a claim before, which means they can make a claim on their homeowners insurance and they won't even raise their rates. So he did that afternoon. He's talking to the insurance company, and they send somebody over, and they look at the situation, and they see, here is a backyard with a tree that doesn't belong in it. They saw the truth beyond that, and they said, here is an opportunity for us to bring in our resources and remove the tree, and bring this situation back to the harmony and the balance and the peace that it was before. And in doing that, they came up with enough money not only to take the tree out and to bring the yard back to the position it was in, but there's enough for the next door neighbor to get her garden started again. And she didn't even need that, because she's grown gardens before and she knows that it's about growing. Something comes along and it destroys her garden. She says, great, I get a fresh start. So now here was a fresh start and an opportunity to bring something new into their lives. You can look at it either way. You can use the happy, joyous words. You can use the unhappy, unjust words. It's our choice. It's always our choice. So when anybody says, it's just words, think about all the words that are in the dictionary. And if you arrange them in a particular way, you're William Shakespeare. And if you arrange them in another way, it's the Bible, the Bhagavad Gita, the Quran. They're just words. But they're not just words. They're words with power and intention. Shuffle that same batch of words into a slightly different order. It's the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution. Some words that were symbols. E equals MC squared. Pretty easy words to say, change the world. Took somebody who was really smart to figure that out. They're not just words. They're words. They are creative tools. So, what words are your words? Are your words just? Or are your words just words? Are your words able to do more than just be words? Are they able to create your next experience? I say yes. I think the universe says yes. I think there's an invitation and an opportunity for each of us to speak our word and create our experience and allow more love to come into our lives, using our words in a way that is loving and just and kind. So that's your invitation this week, is to be that bright light of love, to speak your word in the same way that's been talked about in all of the Scripture, about letting your light shine, about creating your experience, and then come back here with some stories. Because y'all deserve to have wonderful stuff in your life. Remember that part I said about you are beautiful, wonderful, poised on the brink of success greater than you ever imagined? Yeah, that's the truth of who you are. Be that bright light. I love you. Thank you.